When my elder brother messaged urging me to return home for a blind date, Guyu happened to plant a kiss on my face. Her warm breath fanned across my cheek, stirring a dense, itching sensation in my chest. She gently helped me put on the shirt, yet spoke with icy detachment. Since your family is pushing you, you should return early. Thinking she was jealous, sweet contentment flooded me. I hastily grasped her wrist to pledge loyalty. Xiaoyu, I want to stay by your side always, never leaving. She froze momentarily, then revealed a disdainful smile, prized open my fingers one by one. Surely you don't think I'm jealous? Smoothing back my damp hair with her characteristic tenderness, she uttered nearly cruel words. Ake is rather conservative. He refuses intimacy before marriage, so I had to use you to vent my desires. Now that our wedding date is set, he'll soon satisfy my needs. You've outlived your usefulness. Though the room's heating blasted at full strength, a chill ran through me. This person before me, who just a moment ago had been entwined with me in utmost tenderness, now uttered such heartless words the next second, leaving me utterly dazed and disoriented. I froze momentarily, forcing a strained smile. Xiaoyu, you're joking with me, right? Guyu stared at me for a long while before snorting with laughter. Xingfei, we're all adults here. It was just a game of pretend. You can't have taken it seriously, can you? I remained silent, lowering my eyes to conceal the emotions within. She saw these 3 absurd years as mere play acting, but not I. I've loved her for an entire decade. We were childhood sweethearts, growing up together in the same compound. Guyu had always been the best among her peers since childhood, reserved in speech, aloof in nature, truly like an unattainable flower from the high peaks. Yet this same Guyu had rushed to shield me behind her back when others called me a fatherless stray child. When filling college applications after the Gaokao, she who was already in university specially returned home, fixing me with burning eyes as she said, Xiaofei, apply to Jing University. I'll be waiting for you there. So among dozens of parallel volunteer choices, I filled in Jing University for every slot, charging headfirst toward the city where Guyu resided. I thought she liked me too. 3 years ago, when her drink was spiked by business rivals, she grabbed my hand in her drugged haze, the burning intensity in her eyes ensnaring me completely. After that absurd night, her expression cleared with sobriety, yet she sprung up in fury the moment she saw me. Her gaze turned as icy as winter frost, piercing straight through me. Xingfei, what are you doing here? Just as I opened my mouth to explain, she denied me any chance, raining down accusations like a storm. Xingfei, do you have any idea how rude and despicable this is? Drugging my drink, then seizing the chance to embrace and possess me. How utterly despicable must your soul be to sink to such shameless depths? In that instant, I felt like a bucket of icy water had been dumped over me, drenched from head to toe as my entire body froze solid. All my explanations lodged in my throat, impossible to voice. In Guyu's eyes, I was truly such a despicable person. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Later I sent her numerous messages explaining what happened that night, but she never replied to any of them. 3 days later, she sent a location and a house number. When I arrived as agreed, she dragged me straight into the bedroom the moment I stepped through the door. Her kisses fell on me like a cascade, eyes filled with pure desire, yet completely devoid of affection. After it was over, Guyu got up and went to the bathroom. Through the steam-filled air, she declared coldly, Xingfei, since you're so obsessed with me, I'll do you a favor and play along. No flowers, no confession, just this play along. From then on, I became Guyu's secret lover. Whenever she sent a message, I'd drop everything to go to her. As time passed, she spent increasingly more time with me, her attitude warming to the point where I almost forgot about all that ugly past between us. I sank deeper into this false tenderness, falling once again, naively believing she had truly fallen for me. Only today did I learn that these 3 years were merely a game in her life. 3 years of absurd dreams shattered into ashes in a single day. The gentle, calm version of her before me still awaited my response. I raised my eyes to meet her gaze. Of course not. Since you're already engaged, we'll just end it here. Guyu, I wish you happiness. Though satisfied with the answer, Guyu inexplicably felt a pang of loss. Her lips parted, but no words came out. I stopped engaging with her. After dressing, I prepared to leave, only to hear the sound of a passcode being entered at the door. My heart tightened violently as a dreadful premonition surged through me. Before I could react, the door clicked open with a crisp sound. Standing outside was Guyu's fiancé, Zhang Ke. Xiaoyu, who is he? Zhang Ke's voice carried a magnetic depth laced with faint grievance. Guyu's brows and eyes instantly softened as she stepped past me to affectionately wrap her arms around Zhang Ke's. This is Xingfei, the little brother from the compound I often mention. Little brother. The 2 words tumbled from Guyu's lips, scorching a path through my chest until my eyes burned crimson. I gnawed my lower lip until the metallic tang of blood bloomed on my tongue, forcibly restraining the raging storm inside. Yet Zhang Ke seemed oblivious to the strangeness, still smiling as he took Gu Yu's arm and gave it a gentle shake. So this is little brother Fei. You should stay for dinner. Xiao Yu's cooking personally today. My eyes widened abruptly. Last week, when I'd begged Gu Yu for congee during my high fever, she'd claimed she couldn't cook. I'd ended up making her food while burning with illness. So she could cook, just not for me. Gu Yu's face betrayed a flicker of guilt at the memory, quickly hidden as she echoed. Since Aku invites you, you'd better stay. I nodded mechanically, but my mind was elsewhere. Those days spent with Gu Yu lingered in my heart, like the aroma of food wafting from the kitchen, yet were now forever out of reach. Xiao Fei, have you met someone special? Zhang Ke's words yanked me back to reality. Following his gaze, I looked down to see dense clusters of hickeys on my neck. Instinctively, I buttoned the top collar of my shirt. Zhang Ke chuckled knowingly behind his hand. Oh Xiao Fei, we're all adults here. No need to be shy. But you shouldn't mess around with someone who's taken. That's despicable. My face burned as if lashed by an invisible slap. I opened my mouth, but no defense emerged. Was Zhang Ke wrong? Knowing Gu Yu had someone yet entangling with her for 3 years, wasn't that shameful? At that moment, Gu Yu emerged from the kitchen carrying dishes. In under half an hour, she'd prepared 3 dishes and a soup. This was the can't cook she'd claimed to me all along. I didn't speak any further, picking up a bite on my own. The food tasted great, yet all I could taste was bitterness. Zhang Ke glanced discreetly between Gu Yu and me, smiling at the corners of her eyes. Xiao Yu, did you know Xiao Fei has someone special? I wonder when he'll bring them for us to meet. I pressed my lips tightly, instinctively looking at Gu Yu. Her expression remained unperturbed as she said, Aku is right. When you find someone special, bring them home for us to see. As family elders, we should vet them properly. My heart sank to the depths. I nodded hastily in agreement. Zhang Ke, however, wouldn't let it go, continuing to recount the story of how she and Gu Yu met and fell in love. They'd fallen for each other at first sight during university, becoming the campus's golden couple that everyone envied. Though they broke up when Zhang Ke studied abroad, neither could truly move on. Until recently when Zhang Ke returned to China, they rekindled their old flame immediately, set a wedding date, and finally achieved their happy ending. Counting the dates, I realized Gu Yu had come to help me fill out college applications precisely when Zhang Ke left the country. Then what am I, Zhang Ke's stand-in? So from the very beginning, I was just Gu Yu's toy to kill time. The entire meal tasted as flavorless as wax in my mouth. When the ordeal finally ended and I rose to leave, Zhang Ke insisted on driving me home. Unable to refuse, I got into his car. As soon as we pulled away, Zhang Ke's demeanor transformed. He suddenly sneered coldly. Xing Fei, your sweetheart is Xiao Yu, isn't it? His tone left no room for denial. I froze in shock, staring at him blankly. Zhang Ke continued without waiting for my reply, lacing his words with venomous contempt. I barely set foot abroad for studies when you immediately squeezed into Jing University. Were you that desperate to snatch up my discarded trash? I wanted to explain it was Gu Yu who made me apply, but the words seemed stuck in my throat, impossible to voice. Yet no matter how hard you scramble, you're still clinging to second-hand goods I threw away. What gives you the right to compare yourself to me? I just got back, and Xiao Yu couldn't wait to dump you and come find me. I advise you to be sensible and get lost. Stop sticking like a plaster that's sickening to see. His words stung me to the core. As I was about to explain, Zhang Ke made a call. Smirking at me provocatively while feigning panic, he screamed into the phone. Xiao Yu, call the police quick. Xiao Fei says he wants to perish together with me. Then hung up. Before I could react, the car swerved violently and crashed headlong into a low roadside wall. The tremendous impact threw my body forward violently. My forehead smashed into the front seat, blood instantly gushing out as darkness swam before my eyes. Zhang Ke didn't fare much better, hair disheveled, blood trickling from his temple. Madman. To frame me, he'd actually go this far. Soon, Gu Yu arrived hurriedly with emergency personnel. Medics carefully extracted Zhang Ke from the car. Aku, are you alright? Zhang Ke sobbed in terror. Xiao Fei blames me for stealing you and insisted on grabbing the steering wheel to make me pay. My head was spinning, yet I still managed to weakly refute. I didn't. Gu Yu looked at me with disgust, speaking coldly. What wouldn't a born but not raised person like you do to achieve your goals? You dared hurt him today, and I'll definitely make you pay. Before I could speak again, Gu Yu rushed towards the ambulance, pushing Zhang Ke's stretcher, leaving only a resolute being. When medical staff tried to lift me into the vehicle, Gu Yu stopped them. There's no precedent for perpetrators and victims riding in the same vehicle. Someone like him should first go to the police station to receive due punishment. The doctor urgently said. The truth hasn't been investigated yet. This gentleman clearly has more severe injuries. If not treated promptly, there might be irreversible damage to his body. Gu Yu's expression softened slightly, and he was about to let me board the ambulance when Zhang Ku in his arms weakly murmured, Xiao Yu, don't let him ride with me. I'm so scared he'll do something bad to me again. Hearing this, the warmth instantly drained from Gu Yu's eyes as he told the medical staff, take a Ku to the hospital first. Her safety is what matters most. Your medical personnel, I hired with money. Don't waste time on irrelevant people. The doctor had no choice but to lay me back down. The ambulance sped away with screaming sirens. I lay alone at the accident scene, surrounded by crowds, yet not a soul offered help. Blood continued to seep from my wounds as my consciousness faded in and out. I kept mumbling incoherently, home. I want to go home. It felt like an eternity before another ambulance finally arrived and took me to the hospital. Summoning my last strength, I begged the doctor for a phone and shakily dialed my eldest brother's number. Brother, I miss you so much. Please come get me. I'll listen to you. I'll go back for the blind date. As soon as I finished saying these words, I couldn't hold on any longer and passed out. The pungent smell of disinfectant pierced my nostrils. I slowly opened my eyes to find myself lying in a hospital bed. The doctor informed me with sorrow etched on his face. Mr. Xing, because we missed the best window for treatment, your left leg couldn't be saved. I raised my hand to touch the empty pant leg on my left side. Tears burst from my eyes, streaming down my cheeks unchecked. Gu Yu, is this the price of loving you? What an unbearably heavy price to pay. From now on, I will never love you again. The doctor had just left when Gu Yu walked in with several police officers, his expression cold and stern. Xing Fei, you should pay the price for what you've done. My heart felt like dead ashes, struggling to rise from my sick bed. It wasn't me. Gu Yu didn't give me any chance to defend myself. She gave the police a signal with her eyes, and the officers stepped forward to put me in handcuffs. Furious and anxious, the pain from my wound shot through me, nearly making me pass out again. You can't arrest me. I haven't done anything wrong. I shouted hoarsely, my heart full of unvented grievances and rage. There must be surveillance footage on the road. You can check the surveillance. Hearing this, Zhang Ke, who had been watching the commotion at the back of the crowd, changed his expression. He stepped forward, weakly collapsing into his wheelchair as he spoke slowly. Xiao Yu, don't make things difficult for Xiao Fei anymore. As long as he's willing to apologize to me, I won't pursue this matter. After all, he's the brother who grew up with you. Gu Yu seemed to breathe a sigh of relief upon hearing Zhang Ke's words. She looked at me and said, did you hear that? Aku has spoken. As long as you apologize, this matter will be settled. My heart suddenly ached. Whether it was the drugging incident 3 years ago or today, Gu Yu never trusted me. My phone happened to ring at that moment, a message from my older brother. Xiao Fei, Big Brother is coming to Beijing to bring you home. I'll never let my precious brother suffer grievances again. Tears instantly welled up in my eyes. When Big Brother arrives, I can finally leave this heartbreak place. Gu Yu furrowed her brows, slightly impatient. What are you crying for out of nowhere? It's just an apology. You did wrong. Is apologizing really so beneath you? I raised my eyes to look at her. Despite having grown up together since childhood, she now seemed utterly unfamiliar. The bond we once shared as childhood sweethearts had vanished along with my left leg. Meeting her gaze, I suddenly laughed. All right, I said. Shifting clumsily on my unfamiliar prosthetic leg, I stood before Zhang Ke and deeply bowed. I'm sorry. A smug delight flashed in his eyes as he stepped forward. Pretending to help me up, he leaned close to my ear and whispered, how does it feel to lose a leg? I had already resolved to let this matter rest. But his words were like salt scrubbed into a freshly scabbed wound, the pain making my eyes instantly redden again. I could no longer restrain myself and raised my hand to strike Zhang Ke's face. This punch didn't land on his face. Gu Yu pulled him behind herself, leaving me striking air. She pushed me to the ground forcefully, shouting angrily. Xing Fei, what are you doing? Then what about you? Do you know what he just said? Gu Yu chided sharply. No matter what Aku said, it's no excuse for you to hit someone. How have you become like this? Repeatedly hurting those closest to me. Apologize now. Seeing I still refused to bend, Gu Yu kicked the back of my knee. I collapsed completely, knees smashing heavily against the floor. Searing pain spread through my legs as blood began to seep out. She forcibly pressed my head to make me kowtow and apologize to Zhang Ke, repeating the motion until blood marks appeared on my forehead before stopping. Your spoiled temperament will get you in trouble in society. I'm doing this for your own good. Before the echoes of her words faded, an angry male voice came from outside the hospital room. Since when does someone from my Xing family need your discipline? I raised my face, streaked with tears and sweat, and saw my eldest brother standing at the hospital room door. Behind him stood a stunning and poised woman. My brother's eyes were filled with anguish and fury as he strode to my side and helped me up. Xiao Fei, I came too late. You've suffered. I threw myself into my brother's embrace, my despair bursting forth like collapsing floodgates. pleading, "Brother, take me away. I don't want to stay here." My brother gently patted my back, saying with deep sorrow, "All right, we'll leave right now. Never stay in this cursed place again." The body guards behind the woman immediately stepped forward to lift me onto a wheelchair. As we were leaving the room, Guyu blocked our path. Though not daring to meet my brother's gaze, she forced out a semblance of composure. "Big brother, who is that woman? Where are you taking Xiao Fei?" My brother glared daggers at her. "Miss Gu already has an engagement. Why do you care about our Xiao Fei? Get out of the way now. If you dare block me again, our Xing family will never let you off." Guyu had never seen my brother so fierce and stern before. Trembling under his overwhelming aura, she instinctively stepped back. But she quickly steadied herself and tried to step forward again to block the way. I turned my face, staring directly at Guyu, enunciating word by word. "A good dog doesn't block the path. From today on, I sever all ties with you." Hearing my resolute words, her body swayed as if struck, her face filled with disbelief. Seizing this opportunity, the bodyguards wheeled me out of the ward and strode toward the elevator. Guyu watched my receding back from behind. Unease welled up in her heart. Just as she was about to chase, Zhang Ke seized her arm. "Xiaoyu, I feel dizzy. Accompany me back to the ward, please." Guyu looked at this face that once haunted her dreams, yet now felt only disdain rising within her. She impatiently shook off Zhang Ke's hand and snapped coldly. "How can a grown man not manage these few steps? Go back to your ward by yourself. Don't bother me anymore. I need to go clarify first. Who exactly is that woman?" Zhang Ke staggered from being shoved, nearly falling. Staring at Guyu in disbelief, veins bulging on his forehead, he grabbed Guyu's wrist. "Remember this, you're my fiancé now." Guyu looked at Zhang Ke, flashes of their years-long relationship surfacing in her heart. A twinge of guilt surfaced, and she was about to return to his ward with him. The ward door swung open again. A doctor entered, instantly alarmed at the empty bed. "Where's the patient in this room? He just had an amputation and prosthetic limb fitted. He shouldn't be out of bed. If he doesn't rest properly, the wound will tear again." Turning to see Zhang Ke, the doctor's tone carried reproach. "Young man, didn't I just tell you when I saw you that your friend needs absolute rest after surgery? Why aren't you watching over him?" Guyu froze in place as if struck by lightning upon hearing the doctor's words. "What did you say? Xiao Fei had a limb amputated?" Her voice trembled as if expending all her strength to force out these words. Seeing the situation turning dangerous, the doctor quickly nodded and fled, fearing medical disputes. Only Guyu and Zhang Ke remained in the ward. Guyu slowly turned her head, eyes drilling into Zhang Ke with piercing intensity. "Wait, // Jirqing Zhanglit. What kind of heart do you have? Knowing Xiao Fei just had an amputation, yet forcing him to kneel and apologize." Zhang Ke trembled uncontrollably under her gaze, retreating step by step. "Xiaoyu, I didn't mean to. I was just worried he'd take you away." "Enough!" Guyu roared with fury, cutting him off. "We're engaged. What more do you want? Must you drive Xiao Fei away completely? What's my dissatisfaction?" Zhang Ke's eyes reddened from Guyu's furious roar. Overwhelmed not by sorrow but anger, he retorted, "Don't think I don't know you'd already gotten involved with Xing Fei while I was abroad. And calling him the neighbor's brother? He's clearly your lover. Guyu, even if I'm dissatisfied, what does it matter? Xing Fei's a cripple now, he'll never forgive you." Guyu's expression sharpened with realization. "So the car accident was your doing?" "Yes." Blinded by rage, Zhang Ke uttered the admission before realizing his blunder. His face instantly paled, panic flooding his eyes as he scrambled to backtrack. "Xiaoyu, I never meant to cripple him. I just wanted to teach him a lesson, to make him leave you. I truly didn't expect it to go this far. I was wrong. Please forgive me." Crawling and scrambling to throw himself at Guyu's feet, he clung desperately to her legs, tears and snot streaming down his face. Guyu trembled all over with rage, shoving Zhang Ke away with eyes blazing with fury. "What's the use of saying this now? It's all your fault. If it weren't for you, how could Ah Fei have ended up like this? How can he ever play football again?" My brother had retrieved the surveillance footage from the accident site. A camera had fortuitously fully captured the entire process of Zhang Ke's self-orchestrated scheme. He packaged and sent it to Guyu. Guyu stared at the video with bloodshot eyes, teeth grinding audibly. "Zhang Ke, you truly are ruthless. You'd even risk being part of the scheme yourself to frame Xiao Fei." Zhang Ke's tears flowed more violently. "Xiaoyu, I really didn't mean to. Please forgive me, okay? We're already engaged. We should be family from now on." Guyu let out a derisive laugh, her face as dark and terrifying as a demonic being from hell claiming lives. "You made him lose a leg, yet you still fantasize about marrying me? Daydreaming. I'm telling you, the engagement is off, and the capital injection into your family, gone as well. The Zhang family can just wait for bankruptcy." Upon hearing this, all color drained from Zhang Ke's face. Xiaoyu, you can't do this. If the Zhang family goes bankrupt, my father will kick me out of the house. But the only response he received was the sound of Gu Yu slamming the door as she left. Zhang Ke collapsed to the floor, eyes vacant, muttering incessantly. It's over. Everything is over. By now, I was already seated on a plane returning to Nanjing. That woman who came with my brother to the hospital room turned out to be my blind date, Xia Hanyu, the head of the Xia family. Speaking of the Xia family in Nanjing, they're practically household names, the foremost of the four great families, with deep-rooted heritage and their industries spanning the globe. Despite his young age, Xia Hanyu took over the family business and expanded it remarkably, becoming a legendary figure in the business world. Ever since our parents died in a car accident, my brother has single-handedly managed the Xing family's enterprises. Though he's expanded the business scope, it still can't reach the Xia family's social stratum. I couldn't contain my curiosity and whispered, "Brother, did you sell yourself to the Xia family? Otherwise, why would Xia Hanyu come to matchmake with me?" Countless people in Nan City sought connections with the Xia family. No matter how you looked at it, Xia Hanyu shouldn't need matchmaking. My brother rapped his knuckles gently against my head, his expression a helpless mix of amusement and exasperation. What nonsense are you spouting now? This matchmaking was actively proposed by the Xia family. As for why, you'll have to ask Hanyu yourself when the time comes. His words deepened my curiosity. My gaze kept drifting towards Xia Hanyu, but I couldn't muster the courage to ask directly. She saw through my thoughts, turning my shoulders to face her before speaking softly. "I'll tell you when the time is right." Being caught staring made my face burn. I hastily straightened my posture, completely missing how her earlobes were blushing furiously until they looked ready to drip blood. The plane gradually descended at Nan City Airport. Exiting the cabin door, I took a deep breath of fresh air as if resurrected. The Xia family's driver had been waiting for a long time, first sending my brother and me back home. As I was about to get out of the car, Xia Hanyu handed me an exquisite small box, saying gently, "Open it when you get home. Consider it a welcoming gift for you." I took the box, my fingers brushing against hers. A jolt of electricity surged through my body, and I nodded dumbly. Just after entering home, my phone chimed. It was a friend request. Only after accepting did I realize it was Xia Hanyu. She messaged quickly, "Would you like to meet up tomorrow?" I sent back a kitten nodding sticker. Since this was a matchmaking arrangement, I must fully disclose my past with Gu Yu to her. If she minds, we'll end things here. After exiting the chat, pinned avatars kept popping up with new messages. The red dot showed 99 plus unread messages. All from Gu Yu. I didn't open them, directly blocking and deleting, out of sight, out of mind. I don't understand her. If she loves Zhang Ku so much, shouldn't she cherish their time together more now that I'm gone? Why bombard me with all these messages? Unable to understand, so I stopped thinking about it. I put down my phone and slept soundly. In the capital city, I never dared to mute my phone at night, fearful of missing messages from Gu Yu. Today was the first truly peaceful sleep in 3 years. The next day, I dressed carefully and went to meet Xia Hanyu at the appointed place. Entering the cafe, I spotted her by the window immediately. Radiant and striking, her deliberate styling today drew covert glances from many customers. Noticing my arrival, Xia Hanyu stood and pulled out a chair for me. After sitting down, I took a deep breath and laid out the entire story. Silence stretched between us, so prolonged I thought she truly minded, until her trembling voice broke through. "Xiao Fei, were you really hurt?" That sentence shattered my defenses, and tears burst forth. During those 3 years with Gu Yu, she only cared about her own feelings, never once asked if I was happy. Tears clinging to my lashes, I shook my head. Xia Hanyu held my hand, promising me word by word. "Xiao Fei, I will never let you be sad from now on." Watching the overflowing heartache and compassion in her eyes, warmth surged through my heart as I squeezed her hand in return. After being with Xia Hanyu, I experienced for the first time how blissful love could be. No matter how busy she was every day, she always made time to have dinner with me. The kinder she treated me, the stronger the question grew in my heart. Finally one day, I couldn't hold back anymore. "Why me?" Xia Hanyu showed a knowing smile, as if she'd long anticipated this question. She clasped my hand, gazing at me with tender focus, as if recalling a distant and precious past through me. "Do you remember when you were 7 or 8? You encountered a girl who almost got trafficked and called the police to save her?" Following her description, I recalled this vague childhood memory. At that time, she was being tightly gripped by an old woman and kept crying hysterically. I immediately felt something was wrong, called the police, and accompanied her waiting at the police station for her family. In my memory, the little girl had bright eyes and promised me she would definitely find me to properly thank me. I looked at Xia Hanyu in surprise. "Could that little girl be you?" Xia Hanyu smiled and nodded. "Yes, it was me. At that time, my parents took me to an event. I ran off to play Midway and encountered bad people. If not for you, I don't know what would have happened to me. I've been searching for you all along, but when I finally found you, Guyu was already by your side. I thought watching you be happy was enough, but who knew she would dare treat you like that? What followed unfolded naturally. He took the initiative to contact my brother and arranged a blind date with me. After learning all this, my heart was filled with emotion. Earlier, before confirming our relationship, I worried needlessly that she might mind my past with Guyu. It turns out the threads of fate had connected us since childhood. Winding through twists and turns, enduring hardships, we ultimately found our way to each other. Ever since learning about this past, Xia Hanyu stopped pretending altogether, clamoring every day to get married as soon as possible. I finally found the husband I've been searching for all these years. Of course I need to hurry and tie him to my side. She even bribed my brother, making him chime in. Xiaofei, Hanyu is truly a good kid. The two of you should get married soon, so our parents' spirits can rest in peace sooner. Watching my brother and Xia Hanyu performing their duet, I felt both exasperated and amused, yet my heart was full of sweetness. When Xia Hanyu publicly confessed and proposed to me for the third time, I finally nodded in agreement. Yet I never imagined I would encounter Guyu at the bridal boutique. The fitting room curtain drew back. No sooner had she stepped into Xia Hanyu's delighted gaze than Guyu abruptly forced her way into our sight. Her usually meticulous hairstyle looked disheveled, her eyes revealing weariness, her entire appearance haggard and drawn. Her gaze was fixed on me, as if nothing else in the surroundings existed. She murmured, "Xiaofei, you're my boyfriend. You can't marry someone else." I frowned, speaking coldly. "Stop being delusional. We were never together." Her expression froze. Then she shook her head with red-rimmed eyes, trying to embrace me. "Xiaofei, I know you're still angry. I've already broken off the engagement with the Zhang family. Zhangke was sent by his father to train under that boss Wang overseas. He's gotten his punishment now. Boss Wang overseas? Even down here in Nan City, I knew of this infamous tyrant. Xiaofei, you look so handsome today. Come home with me. I'll buy you an entire manor, all right?" Before she could touch me, Xia Hanyu blocked her. "Xiaofei is my fiancé now. Keep your hands to yourself." Guyu completely ignored him, still staring at me with infatuated eyes. The Xia family is an influential and prestigious household. Now that you're disabled, how could Xia Hanyu possibly not mind? Do you really think she'll marry you? She's just amusing herself with you on a whim. A deafening buzz exploded in my mind. I clenched my fists so tightly that my fingers nearly pierced my palms. The wind howled past my ears. Xia Hanyu slapped Guyu across the face, her voice icy. "Xiaofei is my fiancé. Who do you think you are to slander him?" Guyu staggered from the slap, a thread of blood seeping from her lips, yet she kept laughing maniacally as if unfazed. "Fiancé? Xia Hanyu, spare me your hypocrisy." "Xiaofei, think carefully. How could the Xia family ever accept a cripple as their heir? Come with me. I swear I'll treat you well from now on." The world seemed to spin as agonizing memories flooded back, my body trembling uncontrollably. I stepped forward, glaring at Guyu as I spat through gritted teeth. "You have a filthy heart, so you see everyone else as filthy. Even without Xia Hanyu, I would never forgive you again. Wake up, don't be a cornered dog lashing out. No matter what happens in the future, the person I love now is her. The person I'm going to marry is her." Xia Hanyu called Guyu's parents, barely containing the anger in his voice. "Control your daughter properly. Don't let him appear before me and my fiancé again. Otherwise I won't mind making the Gu family go bankrupt." Within 10 minutes, Guyu's father rushed over. His face was plastered with an apologetic smile. He first gave a slight bow to Xia Hanyu, then looked at me with eyes filled with trepidation. "Miss Xia, Mr. Xing, our deepest apologies. We failed to discipline Xiaoyu properly and caused such trouble. We beg for your generosity to spare the Gu family." With permission granted, Mr. Gu stepped forward and delivered several slaps to Guyu's face before ordering attendants to confiscate and escort her home. As they were leaving, she kept shouting, demanding I give her another chance. The voices gradually faded away, and the bridal shop returned to tranquility. Before I could speak, Xia Hanyu stepped forward and hugged me tightly. "Xiaofei, I'm sorry I was late. I let you endure so much grievance." My answer was a gentle kiss on her lips. 3 days later, Xia Hanyu and I held our wedding at Nanjing's grandest hotel. Outside the banquet hall, a woman limping on crutches delivered a thick cash gift box, containing exactly 5.2 million yuan. The gift registrar whispered in my ear, "Mr. Xing, it was sent by a Miss Gu. She said to apologize and wish you a happy marriage." For a moment, I felt dazed. After a long pause, I softly said, "Donate all this money." As soon as I finished speaking, the MC announced the bride's entrance. The banquet hall doors slowly opened before me, revealing Xia Hanyu standing teary-eyed in the distance.